when I made the selection of who is in this panel, what I wanted to present you is diversity. When I did last year the first Paris Fintech Forum, I had almost a fight on stage with one of your guys that I love, but Stéphane told me that I was wrong. Insurtech was really getting traction, and I didn't invite almost any Insurtech. I had one. Fluo, by the way, we win an award at our event, but it was the only one, because we didn't receive so many applications. It was quite the beginning. And this year we received 50 or 60. So it's not anymore the beginning. And I wanted to show you diversity. So here you have very, very different models. Jean-Charles, who is the CEO of Alan, very different because, as you will see in Insurtech, many models, not all, but many models are on the distribution side. Sometimes more on the service to finance side where you treat the problem in back offices, but many times in distribution. It's like brokerage or mobile brokerage. We can see that a bit later. Jean-Charles will explain us why he wanted to be a real insurer. So real insurer and a French one. So we have also a French company on that stage. Julian from Finance Fox. Finance Fox is more on the brokerage, but the modern brokerage. Everything has to be mobile. The rest is past. So it shouldn't be anymore. And then I met Tang last year at Vivatech, a big event on startup, held also in Paris, a very nice event, where AXA is a big partner. And I discovered what you were doing in China, because just to remind us that France is not the center of the world, and Europe neither. And in these geographies, he will explain us how you can mix, for different reasons, you will explain that, the model of the big insurance when you need it, when you need big problems, and the model perhaps of alternative solution where the community, the families have a role to play. And that's also very different. I'm not sure you can do that in Paris, but very different model. So I let you, after this quick presentation, take each of you 3 minutes to present who you are as an entrepreneur, because they don't all of them know you, and what is your company, the traction, how much money you raise, if you have customer or not. 3 minutes to do that.
Okay, so in 3 minutes.
350 if you want.
I'm Jean-Charles. I'm a French entrepreneur. I've started in the web quite a long time ago, since I started when I was 12. I sold my first website when I was 13, and I did that during all my studies. And when arriving in engineering school, I had the feeling that we could use this methodology, very agile, very fast, quick, iterative, kill project very soon, to heavy industry. And with a couple of friends, we decided to apply that to aerospace. And we developed the lightest aircraft seats for economy class with a company that is named Explicit. We started this company when I was 22. And during 5 years, we did that, and we developed a seat that is 3 times lighter than any other seat, flying on several airlines in the catalog of ATR. I had the chance to exit this company and to focus on a topic that was really important to me. I'm from a doctor family, which is healthcare. And we decided to change the way we interact with the healthcare system. And we found that the most important thing to do was, and one of the most important steps was insurance and health insurance. That's why we created Alan at the beginning of the year, 2016, with the aim to totally change the user experience in health insurance. Since then, we have raised 12 million. We have got our license as an insurance in October, so 8 months after the launch. It was the first license from an independent player in France since 1986, so 30 years ago. I wasn't born at that time. And now we are
not nice with us.
And now we are live, having companies. It's a 35 billion market, health insurance in France, having companies signing up for their employees, and we try to provide them the best experience and very soon the best integrated services with the healthcare system.
Thank you. We'll come back to more details after.
Great. I'm Julian. I'm founder of Finance Fox, and yeah, I come from an entrepreneurial family. My dad has been in insurance for 40 years and always wanted me to join his business. I always refused. I thought insurance was very boring, and I wanted to build my own startup. I wanted to understand how that massive disruption of technology and massive increase of information will change our lives. So I built my first startup, not in insurance. It was one of the biggest e-commerce companies in Switzerland. We sold it to 15, and then I thought it was time to team up with my father and look at insurance, because insurance is messed up. And the reason why it's messed up is, for me, very simple. You have insurance customers, they pay money, The insurance company doesn't need to pay that money back straight away. And then the company invests that money, gets back more money, and the whole business model is based on paying back less to the customer than he paid in. So essentially you have a money-making machine, right? It's a beautiful business model. And as long as it worked, right? And all you had to do was just invest money and money and money into sales to get more money into the cycle. The customer and his expectations and his needs were never at the center. And that's the problem where insurance is at right now, because two major things are happening. Number one, you don't just simply make more money through investing because of low interests. That puts a pressure on risk returns. And number two, drastically change customer expectations. You compare your experience with Allianz or AXA, not between the two, but with Amazon and Uber. So there's a drastic change ahead, amazing opportunity for us to be in the market. And what have we done to tackle this market? We have looked at a way to enter the industry, to gain power very, very fast. We have launched end of 2015, have now acquired approximately 90,000 customers, fastest growing Insurtech in Europe, at a customer acquisition cost of approximately 25 euros. The way that we do it is we tackle mainly the brokers. We act like a vacuum cleaner for the broker market in the active markets we're in, Germany, Switzerland. We just launched Austria. We're going to launch further countries very soon. And why do brokers work with us? Number one, we have less effort for them. They get a complete technological platform. They have a 360-degree view on their customers, can communicate via push notifications, send offers to the app of their customers. They have a first-level support. They have administrative support. They make more revenue through the onboarding of the customers. All of the policies of their customers are onboarded, so they make more revenue through that. And also, we make appointments for them via video conference or physical meetings even, where offers are signed digitally that we prepare. And number three, we offer them to make their customers loyal. We offer them the customer experience that the customers of Uber and Amazon have as a customer of a broker. So this is a massive traction. We're growing very fast. We've raised now altogether 33 million from amazing investors. We're very lucky and proud. Salesforce has been the first investor from the US. Li Ka-shing and Target Global have now invested around 28 million in the last round.
You answered three questions at once, so I will come back a bit later. Your turn.
Thank you. So my name is Tang Loaec. I look Chinese. I've been working in China, but I'm French inside. So my mother was Chinese, my father French. What I've been doing over the past 25 years is doing everything in finance, coming from corporate investment banking to retail banking to consumer finance to payments to insurance. Because I believe that it's not only specialists, but that a broad experience is also the key to innovation. In China, what we launch is one model of peer-to-peer insurance. Sometimes when I'm in a badass mood, I tend to say that this is the only true peer-to-peer insurance model being tested today, because there are a lot of companies and teams who have been launching so-called peer-to-peer insurance, sometimes like Lemonade recently, that most people have heard, to acknowledge 6 months or 1 year later that in fact this is not peer-to-peer insurance.
So what's peer-to-peer insurance? Be more clear.
So what's peer-to-peer insurance? Peer-to-peer insurance is when you bring people to protect each other. It's building transactions between individuals and with a company which is providing the capacity for the individuals to do that. Like in P2P lending, the peer-to-peer lending company is not the lender. They are allowing the lending to each other. Why do we believe that there is a meaning to have people protecting each other? We believe that it can help to resolve pain points, both of the insured people and also of the insurance company. So the pain points of the insured people, I will not detail them here, but basically everyone needs to be protected. But very often people, their insurance is a pain point for them. They don't necessarily are in love with their insurers. They are not in love with their bankers or their hyper-neither, so we don't have to feel alone in this. Why do we believe that we can address a pain point of the insurers? Well, Mr. Buberl, I've been listening to you before, and you told me that in the insurance, sometimes you have a contact with the user once in their whole lifetimes. So our purpose is to have a model where social meets finance and where we can talk to the user 40 times a year and not 1 time a year, it's only at the renewal points. And because people are protecting each other, we provide them with profiles, we provide them with community, and we let them guide their insurance, guide our company in how to satisfy them. And this brings the discussions alive, because it's not that they want to discuss with us, no more than they will discuss with traditional insurers, is that we create the condition so that they want to discuss with each other. And when you can do that, you're just on the floor of the discussions and you have the frequency of contact.
Just to be really concrete, the offer, if I am someone in a Chinese village, if I understood well, is that I can subscribe to your solution and I will protect myself co-opted by other people in the village for some kind of risk. And for the big risk, it will still be some people like AXA or whoever big one, because you are just protecting for thieves or some kind of risk. Is that?
So one thing which is true is that we don't cover natural catastrophe, because by nature, natural catastrophe need to accumulate reserve during 20 years to face the accident on year 21, which is impacting everyone. So we don't do that. What we do is that we address every risk which is distributed, which happen on a statistical distribution basis. So this can apply to car repair, this can apply to many health issues, this can apply to, we even have one unique product today which is applying to marriage and divorce. Everything which is statistically distributed can be protected by this model. And we can, of course, also engage with insurance company because, for example, a lot of needs of the user, like multi-risk habitation, for example, you have different risks which is included in it, right? You have the risk of burglary, but you may also have the risk of an earthquake. And
the earthquake, you don't want to do it. And the earthquake, you don't do it with solution.
And the earthquake, we don't do it.
Okay. So we have here a mix of P2P and partnership with insurance. We understood that. We have a new generation broker, mainly on mobile. And we have a health insurer. I will come back to you, Jean-Charles, first because you were the shortest one to speak, so you are quite late. Why did you decide to solve the problem you explained? Why did you decide to take the hard way to have an insurance license? You could perhaps have done part of the objective you had just by being a different level of broker like they are doing, or other options.
We believe that distribution, which is the step that everybody is looking at, is just a small part of the problem. It's the first interaction you have with your user, so it's really important that it's great, but it's not where you have recurring interaction. It's not where the quality of your service is judged, and especially in health, where when you have a health problem, you want to have your insurer with you. So we decided to build a full stack insurance for that reason, because it was not the only step. The other reason is that we want to be flexible. The principle of our market, and insurance is not yet there, but every market, which is e-commerce, social media, everything is changing very, very quickly. And if you're not managing everything, controlling everything within your company, you cannot take bold decisions quickly and just evolve. So if we were to depend on an insurer, on the insurance product, how can we take a decision that seems right for us, but maybe different for our big insurer, which is behind us? On the way we manage claims as well. Today we manage it this way, but maybe tomorrow new technologies arise, and we want to be able to build it. So that's very important. And we believe that in every steps of this process, which is claim management, regulatory, organization, it's where you can really change the way an insurance is working. If you look at the standard IT system, at the standard claim management system, if you look at the standard how people handle regulatory stuff in insurances, you have a lot of places where you can bring a lot of value, and we are really thinking, us as a company, we are building products both for our end users, but internally as well, to be more efficient as an insurer. And having this product on both sides makes it a better experience at the end of the day to the end user, a better cost structure that we can deliver in more value to the end user as well.
You told me when we prepared this interview that it was not only just for disrupting insurance, you had personal reason to do that. What are the objective of it just to sell cheaper, or is perhaps to insure more people that are rejected because of whatever disease they had before or so on? Do you have some specific lines, guidelines?
I think the main topic for us is to insure people better. Like a price war, I'm not sure we can win it. The balance sheet of AXA is far bigger than ours as of today.
For now.
Yeah, for now. So it's not something that will be the most efficient thing to do. What we can win, we believe, is delivering the best product and the best user experience from the first interaction to the last one. That's why we are doing it. So we believe that, as Julian said, like when you have Facebook, Snapchat, Amazon, Uber in your pockets, you expect the same thing for all your interactions. And we believe that what makes us win today.
Last question, that when you are an entrepreneur and you choose a different business, you are a serial entrepreneur, you have a choice. We have the luck to have the choice. Why did you choose health? I mean, in insurance, you have other businesses, for example, with more turnover. For example, when you take the car insurance, every year people change car, not every year, but 2 to 3 years they change car insurance. Health management with more regulation, it's hard, and with a lot of emotion in it. Why you choose the hard way?
Before I was in aerospace, so there were also a lot of regulation, and I believe that highly regulated markets are the best one for entrepreneurs because you have high barrier to entry, which is a problem, but we know how to solve. In fact, it's just how you solve it and how you solve it at the beginning, just another problem to solve. But once you're there, you are facing incumbents that, in most cases, never seen a startup in front of them. So you have very little startup competitors, and you have like big incumbents that are not used to interact with us. So we believe we can have a market advantage in that. And the other topic, which is mainly the most important for me, is that I believe you have to be passionate in what you do when you create a company and when you want. Our long-term vision is not to be an insurer. It's like to be the way you interface with the healthcare system. And we really believe it has to be integrated. Everything has to work together.
So you mean it will be not only insurance, it could be also agenda for doctors, or I don't know, look for...
I think everything is really connected, and yes, it's our long-term vision as a company.
It will be like the central point for health.
Exactly. We just believe that insurance was the best way to do it.
You have a bit the same strategy.
Yeah, I think so. I think it's the right one.
By the way, I didn't mention it, but in 5 minutes we shift to a new part of the interview where I will ask each of you to ask a question to Thomas, and Thomas will do the same to you. So like that, I can take a rest. On your turn, Julian, I didn't understand something. You began your pitch by saying, roughly, insurance people are a bit stealing the money of the customers and keeping them for them and not wanting to give them back. That's the problem of the industry. And after you tell me you are a broker, I didn't really understand where that changed anything.
So our view is to look at the change in customer experience as an evolution rather than a revolution. So what are the current problems that customers face? These will be completely different problems that customers face in 10, 15 years in insurance, but I think we need to solve the problems that customers face today. And these problems are, first of all, the paper folder, right? No transparency over what you're insured for and what not. High complexity with different points of contact during your insurance experience. So this is what we're tackling right now. If we look 10, 15 years from now, it will be a completely different ballgame, right? And it's going to be around how can we put the center or the central element of the product, which is to provide safety and protection in the center of the insurance experience. And I think that the data revolution will have a massive impact. But right now, I think what we're doing now is elevating the customer experience to where it should be for the mass market, and use that as a point to then help with the other players in the market to really develop the customer experience to where it should be. We have a very different approach than players that say we start with product innovation from the get-go. We start with your car being able to make a claim automatically by itself without you doing anything, because we don't believe that that's solving the problem of the customer today.
But So if I understood well, Jean-Charles is clearly a competitor of AXA, new one. You are more a friend. I mean, they are your partner. If you want, you are a broker, so you are selling their insurance, is that?
That's right.
At the end of the day, are you already selling AXA insurance, or?
We're selling AXA insurance. We're selling insurance products in Germany of almost 90% of the market that are offered on our platform. Switzerland, Austria, similar numbers. So yes.
And do you think that sometime later you could do the same strategy as Jean-Charles, perhaps on some lines of insurance, doing yourself an insurer in Europe?
So right now, our business model is very clear. We're a community for progressive insurance companies, for progressive brokers and their customers. We have a very clear value proposition on why insurance companies should work with us. We have a very clear value proposition why brokers should work with us and convince their customers to join our platform. And my answer is very clear and straightforward. As long as we can enhance the customer experience together with the traditional players, we will rely on traditional players. As soon as we realize that the interfaces to traditional players are slowing us down, we need to just look at alternatives. But I don't care how we're going to do it, if it's a risk carrier or an MGA or whatever, or white labeling. I just care in constant improvement of the customer experience.
Last question about that. For 2 days, many people discuss on that stage, on the other stage, about the cooperation between banks and fintech, because many times it's banks the subject. We are in Insurtech here. What do you think of the way fintechs, because you work with a lot of insurance, what do you think of the way Insurtech work with insurance? Is it, I mean, everything is fine, you manage to find the good people, because a company of how many people you said you are?
100 now.
You are 100 and 160,000, 66, so I assume sometimes it's difficult to find a good way who to discuss with and so on. How would you describe the way you cooperate and discuss with insurance? Is it good quality, or?
Great. So I think it's great because we have a great team of very experienced guys from the insurance industry, which is not me. I have no clue about insurance.
My question is more, do the insurance know how to work with a small company like you?
Yes. They don't, right? But I understand why they don't, and that's where I want to help them, right? They have massive issues. They have guaranteed interest rates that are poisoning their balance sheets and decreasing capital returns that are putting a lot of resources on stuff that's not value creating. They have legacy systems and even worse, legacy organizational structures that make them slow, and they have a problem in the bundling quota. I mean, the market leader in Germany with the most efficient sales channel or most successful sales channel in terms of bundling quota has 1.5 policies out of 6 policies. How can you utilize technology if you only know 1.5 out of 6 policies of a customer, if you don't know the entire customer? So they have massive issues. And I see my role in working together with insurance companies, and I think this works. And they're very open to it.
Thank you. So, yeah, Tang, you are the only one I had to discuss with at 3 o'clock in the morning, so due to the jet lag. So could you give us a view of what is outside of Europe? We are quite very European here. So how do you see the Insurtech market and the insurance versus fintech in the area you work a lot, China and perhaps the rest of Asia?
I say that Insurtech in China tend to be very concentrated. There are a few smaller players, and we are smaller players, which are doing things which are innovative and taking advantage of a bit of flexibility of our gray spot to be able to bring innovative models. But in China, you also have one huge Insurtech players, which is called Zhongyang Insurance. And he has 3 parents. So his mother, his father, and I don't know the sex of the third one, but those 3 are Ping An groups, the biggest insurance group, the second biggest insurance group in China, Alibaba, and Tencent WeChat, 2 of the biggest tech in China. So when you have to fight against them, that's become quite sportive to do that.
It's the same with payment, with WeChat. I mean, when they do something, they do it big.
Yes, first you need to ensure that you can get into it without them blocking you from doing it. So that's a really challenging battle. But at the same time, that's a very, very good training environment to make you extra focus on the speed of deliveries and then being able to develop the models and want to roll it out in other markets. So in your initial introductions, you were telling me that we were developing a models, and you don't know if this is a model which can be valid or not to bring into France or elsewhere. Yeah. So on this one, I can answer, and I have the true and the strong belief that this is possible. And that's in fact why I am today in France. I'm today in France to see how these models can be rolled out. And we have been working for 3 months with law firms to see how in the compliance and regulatory environment of France this is possible to do it.
My point was not legal. I was living in Asia for a few years, and my point was a family and community thing that's nothing to compare to Europe. I mean, many of you as your father and your mother at home where they are old? I don't think so. In China, you take care of your people, and that's quite different. And in a community, when something happened in a village, I was living there, they take care of people. In Europe, they close their door. So that's why I was thinking that perhaps it's not the legal problem, it's the mindset and the culture, which is so different. But I hope you'll find a way. It's not my turn anymore to speak. Thomas, I'm sure with all what you heard, you must have at least one question, perhaps more, feel free, to each of them. And in return, they have also the right to ask you a question. So I let you take the microphone and ask a question you want.
So I have many. Who wants to be the first one?
Your choice.
Let's start with Julian. So I fully agree with you. Finance Fox is something very innovative, and it addresses a key issue in the broker market, where you have a market that is very fragmented, very much also driven by problems of succession, where a digital solution makes absolute sense. My experience with your customers is the following. They love to walk into Finance Fox, but when they receive the policies of the Allianz and AXA of this world, their excitement is finished. How do you deal with the fact that your facade looks beautiful, but once you walked in the building, it's still the old crap from yesterday?
You are speaking of yours.
And sorry to be a bit blunt, but I think.
Yes. No, so I think the bottom line, what we're doing is we're not saying we're going to fix insurance from today to tomorrow, okay? What we're saying is we're elevating your experience in terms of insurance a bit, day by day. And what we're currently doing is creating a customer value. It's turning the legacy, the paper, into a consolidated view, a digital folder, and this is already what they are very much appreciating. Number two is we are simplifying the claims process, one interface from your phone to manage claims. So these are the two things that they really like about it, but what they like the most about it. Yeah, and I think this is where we differ a lot from competition. We don't say that we digitize everything and make everything super simple, because it's not. We cannot make something simple that has been made complex for the last 30, 40 years, and there was an interest in making it complex. So what we're saying is we're going to put next to the digital tools a trusted advisor to you, that you have a very easy connection to via your phone. You can make an appointment with him at any point in time. You can have a video conference with him at any point of time. And we reduce complexity through the best way possible today, which is trust with a human being. So what do you do when you're in a cave, in a dark cave, and don't see your hand in front of your face? You can do two things to make a person feel safe. Either you turn on the light, we're not there yet, or you have somebody that takes you by the arm, knows the way, and guides you out of the cave. And this is our focus right now. Simplify what is there right now, and thus make the customers happy with the bullshit that's being delivered to us, to be blunt.
Okay, thank you. Jean-Charles, I think you are spot on with focusing on the health insurance, because I think that's the biggest pain point today, and also the best way of really showing a difference. You have spoken about attacking the cost and attacking the customer experience, which I think is the right way. But two questions come to my mind. First of all, health insurance is a scale game. If you don't have medical networks, you cannot lower the price significantly enough, because the expense portion is the smallest portion of the premium. How are you dealing with that challenge? And second thing is, you've also, if I remember correctly, have positioned yourself very much in the question around prevention, anticipation. Today, people are more ready to spend money on their car than on their lives. And if you look at all the connected devices, they have been bought in large quantities, but after, on average, I think 12 days, people put them aside. How do you make sure that prevention will become a sustainable business model?
To answer the first question, we believe that we started in France because we have the chance to have a system where we didn't have to build our own network to be efficient in terms of cost, because for once, having a regulated state makes it more it's not transparent, but at least more regulated in the way prices are fixed. So we are lucky enough that in terms of scale, we could be different to Oscar in the US, where they had a huge network problem. For us, we can have a profitable product from day one because we know how much it will cost us if someone visits an hospital. So we have a risk of frequency, we have a risk of the kind of people who could join us, and if they are produce more cost, more frequency than the other, but it's quite manageable. And what we've seen is that today the average age of our user is 28.5 years old. So we have a good population. That being said, you need to, the bigger you get, the more you amortize your cost and your structure cost. What we are trying to build is that a very scalable model where the more volume we have, we don't have to increase our size. So everything for us is quite correlated. When we will grow in other countries, the question may be a bit different, even if there are still countries in Europe, at least, where the market in terms of pricing is more similar to France than the US. On the second question, which is about prevention, I think it's exactly the same answer than for the experience and the simplicity in insurance. We believe that people don't use IoTs or smartwatches. We never thought it would be a thing, and from our first pitch 1 year ago when we were raising the fund, we always said that we won't propose it or sell it. We just don't care about that, because we believe that you can use data in very different ways that are more effective. And if you want people to use prevention, you have to remove friction. It's like user experience. If you want people that sign up, you need to have a very easy sign up. If you want people to be happy with the customer service, it has to be really, you have to make the customer service disappear. So it's very easy, it's very transparent, everything is included in the product. And this kind of stuff are really important for us. And we believe that if you say that data is really important to put the right prevention, or at least the right information at the right time to the user, you have to set up a set of rules to users that we have set up ourselves, that we will never sell the data, that we will never use the data to individualize pricing, as we have seen with generally not in France, but in other countries with Discovery. And we really believe in these values of mutualization of the risk, but personalization of the interfaces due to data, to help prevention, to help interact with the healthcare system, knowing how much will cost a procedure before starting. So it has to be integrated, but we don't need extra objects from what we have today.
Thank you. Tang, question for you. I think P2P is going back to the origins of insurance, which is good. You said today the annoying part of a customer is, or the pain point is the insurer. Two questions for you. How do you make sure that in your model, tomorrow's pain point is not your friend, because he or she has claimed something that you think could have been avoided? And the second thing is, the big question in today's insurance model is also that there is a very paternalistic approach. The insurer decides whether you get the money or not. How do you transfer this paternalism to your peer-to-peer community?
Thank you. Well, the pain point is coming directly from the complaints of the user, and I'm sure that as most insurers, you know those reactions, those complaints to the regulator as much as I do. Better, certainly. how do we address it? Starting from the claim process. We have a model where the risk is covered between the user and they cover each other. And the company is a service platform which is providing the platforms, but we're also providing the claim management for the user. So we provide claim as a service for the community. We have not decided to have a claim process which is based by the vote of every member of the community to avoid on one side that there is this perception that your friend is your enemy. And also because we believe that it requires a level of engagement if you scale to large community, which is still difficult to reach. How do we ensure that it avoids the paternalism? Well, I wouldn't call that paternalism. In fact, I would call it the insurance industry, to some extent, is built on a conflict of interest. Because on the day you have a claims, you go to ask the insurer to decide whether it gives the money to you, the customer, or whether it keep it for the shareholder. Obviously, there is ethical practice, etc., but when users are rejected, they are not ready to listen to it. In our model, we are not participating in the risk as a company. We are not an insurance company. The risk is shared between the user. So the first thing is a reality. Whether we say yes or no to a claim, it has no impact whatsoever on our P&L. So we have no other vested purpose than to deliver the fairest possible assessment for the account of the community. The second thing is we also try to work on transparency. I like the comparison with the cave. We are trying to bring some light in the cave by every month sending to the user dashboard and report allowing them to see this month there has been, well, there is 5,000 persons in the community. This month there has been 200 claims, 150 are accepted, 50 are being rejected. But the ones which are rejected, there is 12 rejected for reason category A, 8 for reason category B, etc. So we are bringing the learning curve into the process. And we use this for two things. The first thing we use it for is that it removes the frustrations because on the day the claim occurs, the person already knows that this kind of claims cannot be accepted. So it removes the frustrations. But we try to use it for something which is very interesting as well. We try to use it to give back to the member of our community the power to decide or to suggest change in the way the claims are being processed. So it's the country of paternalism. It's allowing the user to vote on a certain number of claim rules. It's not, in fact, they do it quite responsibly because they are at the same time responsible for paying it and they are the one who can benefit it. But it returns the power to the user, and that's one of the things which is driving the fairness, driving the customer empowerment, and driving also the user engagements because they are more concerned.
One question to ask to Thomas. Sorry, my microphone was not working. So one question each of you to Thomas.
If I could take this, because I'm very interested about this. So I think not digital transformation, but organizational transformation is the big challenge of our time. And we all agree that you're a very, very smart man. So we also know that over the last couple of years, information has exploded exponentially. And that every single human being is taking in more and more and more information every single day. So how are you able to process the information taken up by 165,000 people this second and make the right decision?
That's always a very difficult question. I mean, you're absolutely right. If you look, I mean, insurance is a data-driven business, and so far we have always managed to work with this data very well. A lot of this data today is unused, and for me the big question is, how do we get this systematized and organized? And we need to make slow steps. I mean, the first question is around, and you mentioned that earlier, how do we create a common knowledge of the customer data? Because today we have a model where an insurance agent is basically the orchestrator of the client relationship, and we are part of this relationship. I think there will be a fundamental shift in the system where the insurer becomes the orchestrator of the relationship and the agent plays the role and one role in that relationship. So that means, how do you bring the data together in a friendly way? The second question is, how do you make more use of that data? Because we have a lot of data today that we don't use. I could tell you, for example, how likely it is that in front of this building your car gets crashed, stolen, or whatever. I don't use that data. I don't even give you the data today, but I could do it. So the question is, how do we create a common database, and how do we make this data available to the community? And then the third level is, for me, how do we use external data and combine it with our data? So, for example, in fraud, on claim sites, we do that already. If you come and say, yeah, well, I made an accident and it was very foggy and I couldn't see anything, I today have a mobile provider that tells me, was it foggy, yes or no? And so we go small steps. We do test and learn everywhere, and when it makes sense, when it's proven, we roll it out. But there is for me, insurance is a gold mine, and that's why I do believe we will end up with more jobs in insurance and not less jobs, because we have only scratched the surface of our potential.
One question.
My question, the history of AXA is really interesting because it was a few years, no, a lot of years ago, but a small company that has grown exponentially and become one of the major insurance players in France. The problem with most insurance companies that we have seen is that by matter of construction, they're built by actuary to manage risk and not to manage the expectation of the end user. So we need to manage a claim, we need to assess if this claim is true or not, but we don't really, standard insurer, in our perspective, don't put their shoes in who is the end user and why he's submitting his claim. And we tend to, a lot of people in this kind of industry tend to develop their products for the risk, and so you add a lot of steps regarding frauds to control frauds, but in fact you deteriorate the experience for the 96 or 97% of users. They don't try to play with the system. How do you see yourself as changing this? Do you want to change it, this status or this way of thinking at AXA, and how will you do that?
I would classify this as a rhetorical question. I think if we don't change it, if I don't change it, we have a serious problem. What is the problem? Because it's interesting, when you speak to investors or people, they always believe that you are doing miracles and you work with techniques that we don't have access to. This is not true. You work with the same means. You sometimes use the same open source everything. Why can we not get it done? And I think there's two reasons. One, Julian, you mentioned it earlier. We have to work on our legacy and make sure that it doesn't cause problems. We have a huge difficulty in terms of getting all our old IT systems sorted. I mean, if you go into some of the operations, you still see host, you still see green typo. This is older than the two of us. So that stops us to really look at something differently and new. And the question for me there is, we haven't answered the question, is it worth transforming all of this? Or should you have a different perspective and say, look, it is a business model that has worked at a certain time. Let's keep it, but brutally speaking, run it off and do something new aside where I have the same degrees of freedoms that you have. So that's one big strategic question we need to ask ourselves. And the second one is this brutal focus on the customer we don't have, because we come very much from a regulatory perspective. We are being regulated by life insurance, health insurance, property and casualty, and by products. And people think in that structure because that's the reporting line. And I see that every day again. The other day, we were looking at an example of a telemedicine provider, and the startup, the case was the following. A young couple, 3-year-old daughter, wakes up at night, daughter is throwing up, has a fever. What do? You go to Google and look at something. The insurance company has tried to position the search word web doctor. The startup has positioned the word fever. Who do you think has been found first? And so the customer thinking and really putting yourself in the shoes of the customer is extremely difficult. How are we going to solve it? we need to attract different talents. I mean, we are attracting young people that actually like to come and like to stay because they see the opportunity. And we look at other sectors, telecom, travel companies, that are already much further in the transformation where we can learn, but we need to bring these talents on board.
I have a slogan for you: make insurance great again, right?
Last question.
That reminds me too much of something else.
I've heard a lot of people from the AXA group speaking about disrupting yourself. And I've heard that one of your strategic ambitions was to drive innovations within AXA as one of the major transformers of the groups. So that's wonderful. At the same time, I think I've seen a lot of innovations in AXA through discussions being focused at other innovations which can improve incrementally what you're doing, or sometimes going to a certain number of peripheral changes around the model. You've been saying earlier that we were going back to the basics. We're going back to the basics because we believe that at the essence of protections, there are ways the model can be constructed differently, and differently, maybe more disruptive ways in terms of model, not in terms of corporate, but in terms of model of how you can solve it. Are those radical review of how to address the user needs something that AXA is willing to engage into reviewing it? Or is it something that you want to leave to be done externally by people who will succeed or fail in doing it?
So our mission is not make insurance great again. Our mission is empower people to live a better life. What do you need to do that? And I think there's 3 degrees of innovation. The first one, as you mentioned, is very incremental. How can you change the existing system to be better? And for us, theoretically, it's very easy to create a peer-to-peer insurance. If you think, what are we? We are an orchestrator of a customer platform. We don't use the peer-to-peer element today. We could easily do it. I could even say, look, fine, I'm not deciding anymore on if a claim is paid or not. I'm putting a panel of customers, and they decide whether the claim is paid or not. I could theoretically do that. The question is, are we courageous enough to do it? Are we courageous enough to change our model? Because for many, many people, to live in comfort is always the best. So there's a lot we could do. Do we have the courage to do it? The second thing is, can we do innovation by increasing and extending our business model? Telemedicine for me is one of the things where we could say, yeah, we could go into this. That is already easier because you don't attack yourself. Those are things that happen very much on the ground, and AXA has grown a lot because it was very decentral. And there is a highly innovative energy in the different countries. So that's something that we push a lot and really want to get going. And then you have a third piece of innovation, which is how do you develop new models? What Jean-Charles will tell you is one of the key issues of society is chronic diseases. The whole discussion around Obamacare is about the question, how do you manage the cost better? As insurer, we know where the pain points are. We could also say we develop a new business model, which is not an insurance model, which is helping to bring the cost down as a fee-for-service model. And so for me, those innovations happen along all these 3 categories, from innovation within, innovation to add on, and innovation to do something completely new. And we have no chance but to work on all 3 at the same time.
That will be the last word. Thank you very much, all of you. I think you can applaud all of them.